So much to Jesse's discretion, there is going to be some Han Solo talk in the show today. It's going to be pretty great.
Very little.
It's going to be very little, but it's going to happen, because we can't ignore a movie.
There was a scanner report today of a fire in a dumpster, and I immediately thought of the Han Solo film today.
Hello there, you have found Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast made for fans by fans. I'm David Amilati, your host, and it is episode 10. We've got here a decade. We can do an Our Father now or a Hail Mary. I forget how the rosary works. We're going to take the full shot right now. As you can see, I am in a full suit because I'm dressed for the occasion.
Oh,
what?
No, you're right.
What?
Anyway, you're good. It's 5 things, but
is
10
5 decades?
Hail Marys in each.
Well, is it Hail Marys or is it 10 Our Fathers?
I think it's
That's a different podcast. We're going to come back to Star Wars now.
We've got 3 Catholic kids on the table, and we have no idea what we're talking about. Hey, let's talk Star Wars, because we're having a good time. We are joined with the full panel, as always. We'll start at the very end. Jesse Buck, how are we doing, sir?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Busy day. Did a little bit of streaming. Played a few new games. Played some PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, otherwise.
The amount of enthusiasm in your voice really gets me going right now. David Gilbert, how are you doing?
I have a new mug, and it's got Darth Vader on it, so I'm very excited. Empire did nothing wrong.
That is the message that you've been communicating the last couple of weeks.
Are you going to start choking people now, David?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, never.
Not our fans.
Nick Stewart.
Yes.
You are a beautiful man. You are very talented. You are a working professional. How are you doing?
I watched Windows get destroyed by an air cannon yesterday, so that was pretty fantastic.
That's a story you're doing for work, right? Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we really do have a jam-packed episode for you. I'm really excited because I'm thinking Fan Comlink right now. It's going to be a stacked segment. We are hearing from 3, 4, 5, 6 fans. So we had a really good week there. But we have a lot going on, and we mentioned before the show that
there's also a lot going on in the weather world right now, so I may be kind of distracted periodically. Just FYI.
It's just hot outside.
He's got
death coming.
There's a lot of colors on the screen, so that might distract me too.
I'm here trying to do a Star Wars podcast, and I got this guy with 3 different radars on his laptop screen.
Nick,
what am I supposed to do with this?
Is winter coming?
No, unfortunately. You got a while. You got all of August, and then September, and October.
You're breaking
November's
my heart.
kind of cool, and then December is finally.
It was 104 degrees today.
St. Louis was its 7th hottest day ever.
Really?
What we should be thankful for? That it's hot out, but there's no sand.
Because that shit gets everywhere.
It does.
I'm right now and I'm gonna have to take this jacket off at some point.
You are really fancy.
Here. We're gonna go here. I'm in cufflinks right now. I mean, look
how
I'm really
snazzy
putting
you
forth
are.
the effort here to look good for you if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can be listening
I'm
on
gnarly
iTunes
as hell,
or
and he's all
Stitcher.
snazzy.
We should just one day just show up all wearing
tuxedos.
Tuxes. Make no mention of it. Just that's the thing. And the next day, all tank tops. Or something.
Everyone has dress shirts up top, no pants. All right, so let's go into the first segment of the show. We are talking Real Talk. Real Talk is a segment where we talk about everything that is movie related. That can be the original saga films. That can be the standalone movies. The 2008 release from the Clone Wars series. And it can also be talking about the cartoon series, because we kind of just throw those in there. And we got our first official look at Kylo Ren's new ship, the TIE Silencer. And this description that we got from StarWars.com is this: reminiscent in design of the Empire's TIE Interceptor and Darth Vader's TIE Advance, Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer is an angular fighter equipped with laser cannons and missile launchers. Ren is an expert pilot. Expert is the word. Thanks to skills passed down from his father, which he puts to use exploiting his ship's speed and ferocity, there is no other first-order craft like the TIE Silencer, and it is an effective tool in Ren's mission to destroy the Resistance. Now, 4 weeks ago on our cast, we actually talked about how we had images of the TIE Silencer. At the time, we didn't know the name, but our friend John Burns, who is a concept artist, actually did the artwork. Actually, you know what? This might actually be the very first episode that Jesse and I did. Jesse, when you and I did in the spare bedroom, there was concept art that was kind of leaked but we didn't have like an official thing from Lucasfilm. So now, guys, we get this description, we get this really cool image of the TIE silencer, and David, let's actually start with you. What's your impressions of this thing?
I like it. I dig it. It's a really sleek design. I feel like this is the natural progression of where the TIE fighters would go. So, like, I can see the advertising now for the brand new ABY 34 model of the TIE fighter, and giving it a neat little name like a silencer, and giving it to a celebrity to, fly around to drive up some sales. So, I'm on board with it.
Now I want to make sure that we say this right. It I think what you meant was it's the logical progression of the TIE Interceptor.
Sure.
Because we already have the TIE fighters in this new sequel.
They're all in the same family.
They are.
I feel like if you're going to be progressing the technology forward, this is the way you would naturally do it.
Well, right, but this is this is to Kylo Ren what the TIE Interceptor was to Vader. And so it's great to see the influences from the Interceptor, but also there's suggestions that cockpit is influenced by Han's Ride, the Millennium Falcon. And Jesse, you take a look at this ship. Do you buy into that? It's really angular, which seems to be a real trait of the First Order.
A few things I'm noticing from the image here, actually, being is that Kylo is he's enthralled by Darth Vader and everything. I'm sure he's probably heard the story of, Vader getting spun around all over the place on the first Death Star. So I actually can maybe see this being a personal modification that he wanted for his own ship. The cockpit being extended out would give him more visibility of what's going on in and around him, especially above the ship. Lore-wise, the interceptors were very fast, heavily armed. And if you have that with kind of the love child of a TIE Advance, you've got a shielded TIE fighter with heavy cannons. So this thing is definitely kind of intimidating.
The one thing that I really like about it is this is the first ship that I feel that we've got in the sequel trilogy era that looks like that logical progression. Kind of what David touched upon. This feels like a ship that 30 years after that original trilogy, this ship would exist. And I can't say that I feel that way about a lot of the ships that we got in Force Awakens. I don't want to hate on it. It is a good movie. It's a fun movie, and it's got a lot of people into Star Wars. But it's not I have my issues with some of the ship designs.
It seemed copy and paste.
I think that's kind of what you're going for. It did kind of feel that way. But this ship, wow. I get excited every time that I look at it because, like I said, that logical progression.
Yeah.
We liked that original shuttle that Kylo had in Force Awakens, Nick. Mm-hmm. Do you like the idea that I don't think it's a downgrade. It sounds like this is a better shuttle.
I think so. It looked. I like to think though that he has to fly it though. It's kind of the thing. So
I think we're gonna get.
I mean, that's the thing though. I always feel like I like Kylo compared to Darth Vader because he always seemed like he was like the boss and people drove him around. Like he was like the guy that just commanded the field. I don't like the fact giving him his own shuttle because it kind of gives him his own kind of going rogue status.
Right.
And I kind of liked him being kind of that general in the field, telling people like to run him up or to bring in the fleet, whatever he was doing throughout the movies.
I think that's a really good observation, is the fact that Kylo's shuttle from Force Awakens was not meant, I think, for warfare. That was definitely like a transport shuttle. He had his cronies there with him to guard him. But this new TIE silencer, he's going to get into some dogfights in space, and I'm actually really excited to see how the son of Han Solo, the grandson of Darth Vader, can handle space combat. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's how the first topic is going to wrap up on this part of Real Talk. Let's jump into segment number 2, which we are talking about The Last Jedi characters. Thanks to StarWars.com, we now have some new information on a few characters.
We're actually getting news from this movie.
I know, right? Both are
it's
points
almost
of...
like it's coming soon.
Like 6 months away? 5 months away? 6 months? Something like that?
145 days.
I feel like we're
144
getting
days.
more now than we did during D23 on this movie.
You know what, though? But it makes sense. I mean, like, we're kind of like in that final stretch. But like I was saying, we're getting a couple points of clarification. The first is a character that looks very similar to Elo Esti, which is a character that died in the Force Awakens. But Thronali is that character. We don't know. Maybe they're related. Who knows? They're the same species. And also, we have some more insight into what these Porgs are. These are new creatures that we're learning live on Octu. Pablo Hidalgo gave us some insight there. We also get some updates on 9 Nub, Poe, and BB-8. Jesse, let's start with you. You know, you read through this article on StarWars.com, and it's crazy to think that the first 2 stories of the day have come from there. So, you know, you think about the characters that are listed through here. Did you learn anything new?
Not really. I was kind of
okay. You are all knowing. That is good to know that you're omnipotent. That's good.
I mean, it's not surprising, but I enjoyed what is here. You know, the cover up and everything, because you know a lot of the fans pointed out that finale was. Wait a minute, you know, didn't he get blasted? For me though, Nine Numb, we see him in Return of the Jedi and everything. He's one of my favorite heroes to play in Battlefront 2015. You can really cause a lot of mayhem with him, but I want to see what's become of him, because lore-wise, I mean, he does become kind of a great pilot and officer.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we only see him for 5 minutes in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
but it'd be cool to kind of see where he goes moving forward. You know, David, you look at this information. What do you take away from it?
When I started delving into this, David, I found this neat little story that Threnali's character kind of came about by accident. As they were kind of doing the ending scene for the last movie, they recycled this outfit from a character that had died earlier. So Threnali, they're kind of like, oh shit, we reused it. Now people are calling us on it. So this is kind of their way to fix it, and it's kind of neat that they're able to pull this out of the air and give this character some backstory after they realized that the fans were better at catching their continuity issues than their editors were. So that I really liked. You know, I read the little blurb about Poe Dameron, and I still don't get him. I mean, to me, we've seen him in 3 or 4 scenes, and he gets caught by the First Order. He blows up a couple ships, crashes another ship. I mean, if I were the Resistance, I'd probably bench this guy because he keeps destroying all the property. I don't feel like I've connected with him. I don't feel like I see where his character's going yet.
I still think he's a spy. I still think he's with the First Order.
You do?
I do.
Oh.
So, you know, what's interesting about this is the description of Poe Dameron on this excerpt is the fact that I'm summarizing here, so this isn't verbatim, but he's pissing off the First Order, and he's pissing off Resistance leadership. And so the fact that you bring that up, Nick, to me is very interesting, because if Poe ends up being a double agent and he's actually with the bad guys, that's a curveball that I don't think anybody expected.
I'm just saying, because remember the poster. I'm telling those posters mean something.
So you're talking about the posters that we got last week from D23.
Where he's looking the other way.
He's facing right, but looking left. And the only people looking left was Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And all the good people were looking right.
What if he's a triple agent?
Oh, man.
Who's the third party? The Hutt clan?
Snoke.
No, I mean, he's...
Poe Dameron Snoke.
He is Snoke! Oh, we figured it out. That's it, guys.
Oh, my God.
Cancel the podcast. We're done.
We're done. We're going to make millions.
Oh, dear.
Well, you know what? Hey, we'll find out together, because the film comes out December 15th, and I think we're all really excited for that, because we're either going to experience a really great film, and we're going to go see it 5 times, or we're going to completely stop investing in the franchise for the next 18 months, because who the hell is going to see Han Solo? All right, we're going to go on to the next topic right now. And
David, can we come back to the Porgs?
Oh, yeah.
Because we haven't talked about the Porgs.
Yeah, so what do you think about those?
I think they're adorable.
You do?
Because they're less creepy Furbies.
They're like puffins.
They're like penguin owls, and I just think they're adorable, and I want 2 of them. That way when I leave my apartment, they're not lonely.
I like the little cheeks.
I lived through that generation of
the Furbies,
devil, fuzzy things.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like this trilogy's Ewok? I mean, not even close. Because there's an excerpt there from Hidalgo who's saying how they don't really communicate. They're not very aggressive. Something about their curiosity is, going to alleviate any concerns they have. They just, all we know right now is that they live on Octu. Like you guys said, they kind of look like penguins. I don't know. They look cute.
I think they're cute. I want some.
You want 2, so they're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Don't feed it after midnight, and don't get water on it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, topic number 3 in Real Talk. Hasbro toy listing has led us to the name of those fighters that we're seeing in the Last Jedi trailer, the ones that land down and it looked, we thought at first they were spraying red gas, but that's actually the soil of the earth. We're learning, and it's thanks to a Reddit user called Krennic77, And then we need to
Great
preface this with the fact that we are getting this story and the next couple from our good friends over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. They are super cool, and they're even cooler because they have a podcast kind of like us. It's called the Resistance Broadcast, and it's every Wednesday night, and they do really great work. I actually just finally got caught up. A lot of fun over there at Star Wars Newsnet, and I think they're actually going to have one of us over there soon. We're going to peer pressure them to get us on their show.
3 guesses who that's going to be.
Okay, so what am I talking about here? We're talking about Hasbro toy listing. We know that this fighter is now called the Resistance Ski Speeder. And now, yeah, so Nick, I mean, you hear that it's the Resistance Ski Speeder. So we've had a snow speeder, now we have a ski speeder.
I'm just fearing the parallels between, like, how we had the parallels between 4 and 7. Now we're going to have 5 and 8 with, like, some type of Hoth scene, and I'm not looking forward to that. Although, the packaging, what is that, like, 3-shot going on up there? That just looks really not good.
You don't like it? With Rey, Poe, and Finn?
She does not look right.
Are you serious? I think Rey's new outfit is awesome. With the dark colors?
I have nothing wrong with the outfit, but her, like, facial expression here looks really weird.
I won't lie, David. I had to do a double take, too, to make sure that was Rey.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's the forehead.
Oh.
Something's wrong.
Daisy Ridley has a beautiful forehead.
I know, and this box does not show that.
Okay, so we need Hasbro, get on it. You need to better present our cast. Okay, let's actually talk about the ship, though, that we're supposed to be talking about, right? So, David, here's my thing. I don't like the look of these speeders. I think they look really flimsy, and I think that's the whole point. Even when you read the description of the toy, like the one wing easily comes off to show that it's been, beaten in battle. What a dumb fucking feature. I'm sorry. Here's a toy, and it's designed to fall apart, and that kind of gives you, I guess, a good enough explanation of what it's going to be like in the movie.
Well, there goes our one F word for this show, so...
Gotta avoid that explicit rating.
When I was a kid, I would have loved something that, like, shot out as a toy, but now in the age of, like, cell phones that are smartphones, I don't know how a toy that falls apart or can shoot things can really compete. So maybe Hasbro knows something that I don't, but by and large, outside of the X-Wing, I really think that the bad guys, the Empire, I would call them the good guys, the First Order, the CIS, I really think they have the better ships in general. So
I would think so, especially in the sequel trilogy era, because some of the ships are reminiscent of what we've had, like the TIE Fighter. You have Kylo Ren's capital ship that's kind of like the Star Destroyer, but it has that submerged command platform that's pretty snazzy, and that in Lego set is going to be one of our new purchases. But Jesse, you look at this thing, and now we know the title of the ship. We've seen an actual clip, a shot of it from the movie up and close. Are you excited to see Poe Dameron fly this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be. I'm not honestly worried about them repeating, the other films. I like the concept actually of this speeder. If anything, it kind of reminds me of a B-wing.
That was my thought when I first.
Yeah, a little bit too.
It kind of makes me. It's kind of annoying to me because it reminds me of the freaking Resistance. The shuttle from Force Awakens. It's just a bunch of assembled parts from a bunch of former ships that the Resistance or Rebel Alliance had. And they don't need to have all crappy ships that are like hodgepodge from other ships. Like, give them something new.
But at the same time, David, who's bankrolling them?
Well, nobody.
But damn it, I don't. It's like I don't even want to root for them. Like, they should have won. They got crap.
Well, you got to kind of look at the story and everything with that is. The Resistance kind of stands outside of the New Republic.
Correct.
So they really haven't had the backing.
No, in fact, the Republic doesn't even like them.
They just saved the entire galaxy, though. I've blown it
30 years ago.
I think they gotta chuck some money.
Well, Leia's a great politician, but she's horrible with bankroll.
But think about it,
well, ever since Alderaan,
I mean, Starkiller Base basically wiped out a large portion. There you can assume that did a lot of damage potentially to the Republic Army.
Well, yeah, but that's a Republic Army, and we're talking about the Resistance, and the Resistance has been on decor the whole fucking time. So I'm sorry, that's the second one. All right, we're out afterwards. It's been a long day, and I've been drinking. It's like I just can't. I can't roll with that because you're telling me that there's not like a new ship. The one thing I will say is this. We do know we're going to get some like old school ships because we know A-Wings are now going to be in The Last Jedi, which is exciting. Because we had like that video drop from either D23 or San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know. I'm just kind of bitter because it's like I want new fun ships. I don't want here's like the cockpit of a B-wing, and then here's a wing of an A-wing, and then here's part of an X-wing, and then here you go. Like that doesn't excite me.
I don't necessarily need a whole bunch of different ship designs because if I'm going to be supporting this resistance, I want them out like fighting the bad guys, not sitting around designing new engineering ships and then figuring out how they're going to mass produce them.
Well, you have to look at the new X-Wings, too. I mean, they were noticeably sleeker. They seem to be a better ship and everything.
Well,
so
that is a personal opinion.
Okay, but at the same time, when you look at the First Order, okay, what we know about the First Order is that the Empire disappeared into, unknown space.
Right.
They've come back. They have limited resources, so if they use if they don't have the kind of money pool. Yes, I'd say that the Republic and the Resistance aren't cooperating well together.
Are you talking about how the First Order doesn't have payroll now?
Yeah, basically.
That's not at all what we're talking about.
I know, but it's just kind of one of those things where I feel like the First Order, the reason that you've seen such better improvements in their ships is because they've had to make things last. They can't afford to lose ships easily. I mean, look at the old TIE fighters. They're really squishy. The new TIE fighters have a backseat gunner. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's better defensive quality for the TIE fighters and everything.
So basically, all you're doing is reinforcing the point that David's making, which is we should all be cheering for the First Order to win.
Maybe in technology-wise, yeah.
Okay,
they might have it, but I enjoy back to the ski. I don't like the name. I'm with that, but I like the way it looks. I think it'll be neat to see what it does.
And once again, here's Poe Dameron blowing up another ship. Why is this guy still employed?
Is there any proof that he actually blows this ship up?
If you read further, they speculate that it falls apart because it gets hit.
Like I said, December 15th, it's going to be a great day, and hopefully we'll all have our clothes on.
We'll have insurance policies next week on Poe Dameron.
The fourth topic of Real Talk, we're just moving right along, and I'm excited to talk about this. Jesse might not be, but Ron Howard is just owning the social media game. I don't know why you're even shaking your head. This is positive news.
See, we've blown both of our F-bombs before we get to the Han Solo.
But we don't need to. We don't need to because Ron Howard is owning Instagram right now.
Premature F-bombs?
A photo, guys. I'm trying to intro the story, damn it. What am I talking about? Oh, Ron Howard. He's on set. We got our first glimpse at Lando in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. He's like bent over. I don't know if that means anything or not. He's just bent over.
Hanging out with Lando.
A dude hanging out in the cockpit. And then he's in the cockpit, and we also have a photo of Chewie embracing what looks to be another Wookiee. I'm assuming that a female Wookiee would be called Wookiee, or is it a Wookiee? I don't know if there's like a female
What's the
version.
conjugation of Wookiee?
I don't know.
Just Wookiee.
But these two images are really cool because, again, here it is. Some insight into it. And you might want to have the argument, well, you're showing us too much of this movie. Honestly, I don't think you can show us too much right now because it sounds like there's just not enough at all. Why would you need Ron Howard to be back on the project in the first place? And two, it's right now. Hear my voice. I'm excited. Okay, when was the last time someone was this excited about this movie? Never.
Well, you have been drinking.
It's water.
Is that how we get through this movie?
Stop it, Jesse. I'm gonna let you go last because you're shaking your head that you're not giving this a chance, and you need to give Ron Howard respect. Nick, you get that glimpse of our buddy Donald Glover portraying Lando in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Does that excite you? I mean, to get this story.
I mean, it's showing that something is. It shows that wheels are moving,
and we didn't think that was happening before.
Mm-hmm. So that's progress. I like the outfit.
Remember, Lord Miller, they're unemployed right now. I'm sorry.
Very just like, I mean, you can't really tell much by looking at the image. It's very small.
Is that what we were supposed to be looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, we were over this last week.
Listen.
I do show notes, and you got to look at the show notes.
You said you wrote them today.
Oh,
listen,
my God.
I watched the video of the lasers, which was fun, but I don't Insta-tweet, so I couldn't find the other pictures,
yeah, that
so
was
I moved on with
funny.
my life.
There's like this video, I think that Ron posted I'm calling him Ron because I know Ron Howard, I can do that. Either today or yesterday, he posted this video where he's like standing there, and this guy, he's just like, he's like this, and the guy's like, action, and then he starts like waving his body around, and there's like guys with like blasters and they're like blasting them and they put the special effects in there. Like, they're having fun.
I like that.
They're happy to be employed on the Han Solo project. Who else has said that before now? No one!
Yes, Ron Howard came in and there's now mandatory fun.
You're all gonna have fun now? There's not gonna be any more of this funny, sad business?
I don't know what you're referencing, but do you like at least the fact that Ron Howard is having fun directing this movie and give you more hope for this movie?
His face doesn't look like he's having a lot of fun. He's just kind of like, I'm a badass.
But if you saw him in the video of getting blasted by all those lasers, he's having a great time.
Which, if he's a badass and he's getting blasted, one of the people who commented on the picture made a Gran Torino joke about how too bad they didn't hire Ron Howard for Clint Eastwood's role, which that's where my mind went to first. So that was awesome.
In all seriousness, though, the reason I just kind of done with Han Solo right now is because I'm worried that if I read too much about what's coming out, potentially some of the, because there's still some bad vibes, about the movie. I don't want it to corrupt the potential experience I'll have with it down the road. I will see this movie when it comes out, but
Hey Jesse, spoiler alert: Han Solo meets a Wookiee named Chewbacca, and they find Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then they join the Rebel Alliance, and they save the Queen.
Quit it. I'm not up to date on Clone Wars.
She's kind of attractive, but she's also kind of a slut. And then they go to the Hoth planet, and they defeat the frickin' Wampa things, or like Dave likes to call it, the Wamp-Bombs. And then eventually, Han and Leia coitus. It's a great time. Enjoy it.
He's just on a warpath tonight.
I'm just having a great time. Hey, you know what? Let's jump into pages, pixels, and pieces, because you know what, we have a lot more to talk about thanks to San Diego Comic-Con. And
yeah, baby.
Oh my god, it has been a great week. You know what, we were kind of concerned a week ago, well, are we gonna have anything to talk about out of SDCC? Well, we definitely do. We actually got some sneak peeks at several books that are going to be coming out, and there's a few of these that we already kind of knew, but Jesse, let's start with you. Were there any of these titles that you were interested in picking up when they drop on shelves?
Darth Maul, because I kind of fell in love with the character of Clone Wars and Rebels and everything. So I'm definitely excited about another, more into the Darth Maul story.
What is the Darth Maul title? I didn't see that one.
You've got it listed here, the number 5, Darth Maul number 5.
That's the comic book series that's currently out. We're talking about something completely different. I do these show notes every week to let people know what we're talking about.
Technically,
it's fine. Book. We'll go, hey, David, we're talking about the San Diego Comic-Con book list that dropped.
So I'm excited for the Mace Windu book, because I read the show notes.
Thank you. There we go.
I'm
That's
stoked.
relevant.
And the cover's got like a Mace Windu crawling on the ground, reaching for his lightsaber. And I want to see more Mace Windu, because I want to see more Samuel L. Jackson. And I have this belief that Mace Windu survives. He ends up on planet Earth, where he works for Jurassic Park, and then he gets eaten by velociraptors after saying something quirky like "hold on to your butts." I want to see how they make that progression into that character.
And that's one of those series we talked about that 3-4 weeks ago. We were all really excited about seeing Mace Windu back into the Clone Wars era, seeing how he behaves. Really excited for that. I'm really excited for the Thrawn adaptation. They're going to do a comic
that cover
adaptation. Doesn't that look intense with his eyes, right? They're going to do an adaptation of Timothy Zahn's Thrawn novel that came out several months ago. Nick, does that intrigue you? Maybe you don't want to read the book, but maybe you want to read the comic?
Yeah, I mean, the Mace Windu thing is... I've been always a pretty good, outspoken person for Mace Windu. He's definitely probably my favorite character in the Clone Wars era. And so I'm looking forward to that. I love the color purple too, so I'm kind of biased towards him anyway. And I like how the logo is in purple.
Yeah,
it's hot.
No, dude, that's awesome. It's gonna be one of the many
Mace
series.
Windu's my boy.
It'll be a series that we pick up. Jesse, Chewie and Porgs. Does that excite you, Chewie and the Porgs?
That might be something that excites David a bit.
He wants to read me a bedtime story.
I'd like to note, though, if you look at the Mace Windu picture here, he has both hands, so this just confirms that this is not after the Revenge of the Sith.
From a few weeks ago.
I know. I'm just putting that out there because I'm not in the Mace Windu party.
I wouldn't have caught that, so I'm glad we have you at the table.
Yeah. But you know what? Mace Windu. Looking at these, Mace Windu. There's Beyond the Stormtroopers. So just
that could be fun.
That could be kind of a really nice insight and everything. So
I'm looking forward to The Last Jedi Visual Dictionary. Pablo Hidalgo confirmed on Twitter that he's going to be writing that one. And I just, you grow up and you're thinking, I would love to work for Lucasfilm, or I'd love to work for the storytelling group of Star Wars.
Hire
and
me, please.
I love to write those books, right? I have no idea how they do this. And Pablo Hidalgo pumps out like a book or 2 or 4 every year. And I'm really excited to see what he does with this visual dictionary, because I love the visual dictionary for Rogue One. I've only been able to flip through a friend's copy. I would love to have my own. Christmas is coming up in a few months, guys. And then The Force Awakens had a great one as well. So I'm probably looking forward to that one, because I really do enjoy concept art. I love seeing where the concept begins and then what ends up on the screen. And the process of why did we decide this version over maybe what the original began as. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Nick?
The other one, the Star Wars, the Stormtroopers Beyond the Armor, how they kind of evolve from the Clone Trooper era all the way to the First Order. I always loved the Stormtrooper concept. Like, they're one of my favorite things in the series. And so I'm kind of hoping there's kind of a more detailed on their lives kind of thing. Like, they're more routine. I don't know. I'm just kind of nerding out over that. I think that'd be kind of a cool
I don't blame you on that at all.
I think that'd be a cool one.
I will say this. I think the slate of books for The Last Jedi might be the best variety that we've gotten between this, Rogue One, and The Force Awakens. There's that book, Finn and Rose's Journey.
Who is Rose?
Rose is a new character that we have. She is going to be part of the Rebel Alliance. She's like an engineer technician kind of character.
Yeah, I think that she's like a mechanic of some kind.
And it looks like it's starting to be the love she will be the love interest with Finn, which I think is interesting.
Don't oppose roles on her. Him, it, she, they.
Well, I'm not trying to. Here's my thing, though. I really thought that Finn and Poe were going to be a couple.
I kind of got that vibe, too.
I really thought that was going to happen. And so now that they're injecting Rose in the conversation, and I mean, like, that's fine. I just thought, like, with Disney taking the stances that it has, and we're trying to update the Star Wars story, I thought that was going to be a thing. But nonetheless, I'm excited for that book. I think that could be really exciting. And also, there's also one that's going to be specifically about Rey's journey. So it'll be interesting to see what they reveal in that book, because obviously they're not going to give away.
But that was a kids one, right? Like more geared towards that.
They are, but the way that the way that Disney and the storytelling group is working is everything is canon. Even that hot garbage that was streaming Citadel is canon right now. I'm not trying to be bitter. I enjoyed it.
So you've read some of these other books. Are they actually pretty decent? Because I always struggle with books based upon film. Like I'm a huge nerd, so I do Doctor Who books. I'll do World of Warcraft books. Christy Golden, who we talked about last week, who does a couple. She's done some WoW books, and I always struggle because I always read like a script to a TV show, where things kind of all come back together at the end, and there's not a whole lot of character growth. Or if there is, it's just very minuscule. And
I would have felt that way about like some. I feel that way about some of the EU books that I read, like when I was like late '90s, early 2000s. I might have felt that way.
So I'll get these really wrong, but do you remember the Yuzon Long? The jerks that drop a planet on Chewie.
Yeah, that's how they kill Chewie in the EU. Is they kill him with a planet.
That's when I felt like the EU books had gone too far.
Well, and then EU. Okay, so it's good that Disney retconned all that crap, because to be honest, there were like 7 tiers of like what was legitimate canon and not. To answer your question, so we have all these books behind me, right? There's not a bad book, except Hair of the Jedi. That was hot garbage. Now, that was a terrible fucking book.
Now
that's number 3. Keep track.
We need to put like a rated M for mature or.
We're getting very close to the explicit rating for this episode.
So I mean, like, are these books like some of the ones like the Windu one? I'm very interested in. Or some of the other ones that have come out, should I actually take the time to read those, or are these just worth reading the Wikipedia article to get the plot and then moving on with my life?
Well, here's my thing. The movies. You should be able to go in. You will be able to go to every movie and enjoy the movie, and you're not going to miss out on anything. But you'll appreciate little things more if you read the book, and I'm fine with that. And that's how it should be. Yeah. You shouldn't have to read a book to know what the movie's about. And I think one of the things with Rogue One that a couple of my friends had was they read Catalyst and they're like, "Oh my god, I knew everything. If I hadn't read the book, I'd have been lost." And I kind of get that. I think they're worth it. I would say Lords of the Sith for one. Tarkin was another great one.
Ahsoka is a really great one.
Oh man, the Ahsoka novel, which was meant for young readers, but it's a phenomenal page, and it's only 300 pages.
It really is that's when you finish all Clone Wars and everything. I highly recommend that you read Ahsoka
After Clone Wars.
after you finish watching Clone Wars. That I strongly recommend reading that.
Yeah, we probably should do like a separate segment just for this, but
Yeah.
it's definitely. I mean, if you have time and you like to read, if you're a reader, read the books if you don't already. How is the radar looking?
It's getting there.
Is it? Are we gonna die tonight?
No.
Okay, good. Because I need my hearty curly fries. We're going to the next topic, and kind of like how Jesse kind of foreshadowed, we're talking about comics that came out this week. And Poe Dameron's number 17, and I'm just teasing you. And Darth Maul number 5 came out. We'll talk about Darth Maul number 5 real quick. This kind of wraps up the series. Unfortunately, the local comic book shop was not able to get my order for this week, and so I had to read a summary. And at this time, I'm going to thank the guys over at StarWarsNewsNet.com because usually I like to get my comic and do my breakdown of it, but I wasn't able to, so I went and read their review. And it's nice. It's a very well-told 5-issue miniseries about a Darth Maul prior to Episode 1 of The Phantom Menace, where he's going on this hunt to track down a Jedi apprentice to kill it, to quench his lust to kill a Jedi. And I'm not going to tell you whether he does or does not kill that Jedi apprentice because I want you to experience that for yourself. But I appreciate this story. I was a little bit bitter with the Marvel Star Wars comics because of that Streaming Citadel series. We've been over it before, the things I liked, the things I didn't like. This was a 5-issue miniseries that I leave very satisfied with. And to be quite honest, I want more because not only did you get that Maul dynamic, but you also brought back Aurra Sing and Cad Bane, bounty hunters that we knew a little about in it. Well, we knew about Aurra Sing from Episode 1, right? But Cad Bane was maybe one of the best characters created out of that Clone Wars series. So I really recommend this final issue because I think if you wanted to put a cherry on top, it was accomplished with this 5th issue. Very satisfying. Jesse, were you able to get your hands on it?
No. I'm in the same boat.
It's on your list.
It's on my list.
It's on
I'm
your
in
list.
the same boat and everything. I love Darth Maul. It's one of those things where with the prequel movies, some of my favorite characters, it felt like they died too quick.
Okay.
So when Filoni brought him back in Clone Wars, I was fine with it. So I love seeing these comics and everything and them expanding upon some of these characters.
David, were you able to take a glimpse?
I'm a paperback trade kind of guy.
Yep.
So unless I steal the single issues from you like I'm doing with the Darth Vader.
That's fine.
This is one because I knew it was a short one. I'm just going to wait for it to come out and then read all 5 at once and bask in its glory.
I'm fine with sharing with you. And I will say this, that if I hadn't already invested in the 5 separate issues, definitely going to pick up the trade, and you might even be able to convince me to still buy the softback trade because I liked it so much. And the only other 5-part miniseries that we've gotten so far where I've done that with was that Anakin Obi-Wan miniseries that came out that was so good. Another Attack of the Clones era story. So, all right, so that's going to do it for Darth Maul 5. Poe Dameron 17. Not a whole lot going on there. Where we left off with Poe Dameron was the Resistance was able to get that Tabana gas. First Order is really mad. They're chasing after them. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot more about that issue just because I don't have it in front of me. But I'm going to encourage you to keep going with it because apparently the fans like it. You're reading online. Poe is a character that the fans are really embracing. They really like the daring guy. He's kind of like this generation's Han Solo in a way.
Still don't see why.
Well, because the guy can shoot planes out of the sky really well. That's what he does. And also that scene. So when they're attacking Takadana, right? So the resistance comes to save the day. He snipes like 7 troopers from the ground level.
I was just going to say, he's kind of a badass in the cockpit there. I mean, he takes out a fighter.
Did you just say he's a badass in the cock? That doesn't even make grammatic sense. We have a scanner going off. Do you need to go get that? I'm going to stand up.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Things are breaking. That was the mixer. The mixer. This
is why we don't have nice things, Nick.
About weather happening.
Are we going to die?
All right, so Nick is going to go
You
take care
can
of
follow
that.
Nick Stewart on KHQA News.
No, we probably shouldn't actually pitch our professional lives.
That's probably a fair point.
We've gone 10 episodes without doing that. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Well, edit it out.
Well, all right. So
Nick will just disappear.
Loud noises.
Can we
There
get
is
like
no
a
Nick.
force ghost of Nick?
we don't have the budget for that. Okay, so I guess with Nick going out and taking care of...
What was I saying? I really got distracted.
Well, you know
there.
what? We all got distracted. That's why we're just going to go on to the next...
Poe is a badass, but nobody cares.
Oh, you made if he
I
was
don't
a
care.
best on the cock. I said cockpit.
Oh, Okay. So we're revisiting that bad joke.
No, but you make a good point. He shoots down a fighter, and then he strays to the ground, saving Han and Chewie and Finn. He's a talented pilot, so I think maybe that's where they give him permission to crash as many ships as possible.
Did he really save Han? I mean, Han could have been spared all the heartbreak of seeing his son like kill him if he'd just gone out then. Was that really saving him, or just delaying the inevitable?
How was he supposed to know, David?
You don't.
These are the great questions of the modern day.
These what ifs. Why you got to bring that what if in here?
It's getting real deep in here, and I need to take off this jacket because it's getting thick. Let's go on to the next topic while we wait for Nick's return, because he's battling weather and stuff. Entertainment Weekly also gave us a look at some... Oh my gosh, now his laptop's going off. This is like all systems... This is a foobar. What do I need to press? Do I need to press anything? Here, I'm going to press this button. That looks right.
You know what? This would be even better if it was like...
This pop-up just came up, and it's 18 years or older. It's like a game thing. She has really large breasts. She's an elf. We're going to exit out of that.
How does she do that with a watermelon?
Well, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. That's just not even funny. We're going to try and go here, and... Okay, cool. So, that's like the National Weather Service log. Oh, that's fun. Those are meteorologists from across the thing.
What I want to know is how come Nick doesn't have, like, the naval alarm from, like, the Death Star going off instead of
Probably because he wants to be a respected professional. That's probably why.
He needs to be respected.
How can you not be... I would respect him more if he was using Death Star alarm systems.
We're just having such a great time. This is like the 15th tangent of the episode. I wish this was liquor.
So, we're on to some young adult books now.
Yeah, and the only reason why we put this in there, and I mentioned, so it was Entertainment Weekly that did this exclusive. And just the Legends of Luke Skywalker, that novel I thought was really interesting. Probably should have paired this with the first story of the segment, but it's the idea of you're hearing all these stories of Luke Skywalker that have been told. They've been passed on over the last 3 decades, and they're told in the style of a campfire story. And so to me, I kind of like latched onto that description right away because growing up being a Boy Scout, you told scary stories around the campfire. You talked about your family around the campfire. You try to create fun stories around the campfire, and that image alone is just really exciting to me. And, you hear that, now that we kind of know how this book's going to be presented, and also we're going to get, a little insight into Canto Bight through this book as well. Jesse, is this a book that you're picking up, or you're going to stay away from the kids section?
Simply because it involves Canto Bight. Potentially because a lot of the stuff, as you mentioned, is kind of being put into canon.
Yeah.
And everything. So it's a casino world. It might be interesting to see what characters.
Well, and maybe for you, then the better book would be just called. I think it's just called Canto Bight. There's gonna be like a second book released that's specifically about that planet, and it's cool. Like I'm excited to learn about the wealthy part of the galaxy.
Again, Ahsoka was kind of geared towards young adults, and that was a fantastic book. Mm-hmm. So that's how I'm kind of viewing these.
That book was written for someone a third year age. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things again. There's gold in those stories.
There really is.
So it's if it adds something constructive to the universe and the lore, I'm totally down for it.
David, are you picking up either one of these books?
Probably not. I'll probably just skim the plot on Wikipedia or something.
Wikipedia.
I
say
acquire them through other means.
Wikipedia.
Either way, I just.
I mean, if you're going to be a cheap ass, you might as well credit the source appropriately.
No, I would have looked on Wikipedia because, it's what pops up first on Google. But, I don't know, after watching the Forces of Destiny clips that were not good, I think we're just going to leave the younger stuff to the younger generation, at least from my perspective. That way they can get onto the Star Wars bandwagon and, keep my eyes elsewhere. Okay,
that's fair enough. That's going to do it for that segment. We're going to go on now to Blast It or Stash It. And we got 2 topics in this segment that I think one is going to go very well. That's why we're going to do this one first, and it's not going to go very well at all. This is going to be kind of raunchy. So just, don't hold back. Will Smith, he says Star Wars is better than sex. That's right. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air told CNN Entertainment that he thinks Star Wars is better than sex, kind of reflecting on his experience when he watched Star Wars for the very first time. And, quote, "I've never been smashed like that in a movie theater," he said. "My mind was boggled, completely blown away." I think there's a line in there that he's like, I had sex a few years later after seeing A New Hope, but it was close, but it was no Star Wars. So you know what, David Gilbert, tell me. Will Smith says Star Wars is better than sex. What do you think about that?
I'm going to let the experts tell me where my priorities should be, and obviously it's Star Wars, so we'll leave it there.
Oh, all right. Jesse, how do you feel about the news that Will Smith says
Well,
that
if we're
Star
going
Wars
through
is better?
his words here, then I got laid in 3rd grade. Because, I don't know, Star Wars is fantastic. For me, it's my jam, man. Like, I love everything about it, the lore. It's a happy place for me, so I can understand where he's coming from.
I just feel like somewhere in this episode, we were at a point where it might have been a good time, and maybe you're having a good time right now. I hope you're having a good time.
Did we hit that X-rated mark yet, Dave?
But like, I think we were teetering on the line, and then we just went off.
Where's Nick? He normally prevents this stuff from happening.
Yeah, well, Nick's trying to save the tri-state area from some severe weather. You know what? I don't really want to comment on this specifically about sex, but what I will say is I like this kind of a Star Wars story because it's taking somebody that I would never associate with Star Wars. I never think of Will Smith. Nick, you can just stay right. You're going back. Oh, Will Smith says that sex is Star Wars is better than sex.
Stash it above.
Hey, Nick can't even handle that topic.
So I think he disagrees with our assessment to stash it.
Yeah, so you stash or blast it, guys. And Jesse?
I'm gonna stash it.
Stash it, David.
Stash it.
All right, well, Nick just shouted stash, and so I'll stash it as well. Star Wars is better than sex, apparently, and this show is maybe going to get canceled after its 10th episode. Our next topic, which is getting us back on track with Star Wars talk, is Dave Filoni takes to Twitter to share yet another untold story from Star Wars Rebels, this one detailing a meeting between Kanan Jarrus, which is like the Jedi Knight on Star Wars Rebels, and Ahsoka Tano. And he explains that these two had met before at the Jedi Temple as younglings, and the way that we get the answer is... I mean, and it's in Dave Filoni tradition, right? We got the sketch, we got a little dialogue. Jesse, you're fine. I was going to have him cover his ears, but it's fine. I don't think this is a spoiler.
Earmuffs, David.
Do we need a spoiler for this, you think? I don't think we do. This is like behind the scenes.
I think we do.
Was it a spoiler for you? Yeah.
It was a spoiler for me, yes.
Well, right, but this doesn't really impact the viewer. We'll throw it up there irregardless. But, here we learn that these two had met. Conversations about, I think it was a lightsaber training or something along those lines. Is this one of those little nuggets that we got from Dave that's just, if you know what is going on with Rebels, it enhances your experience that much more?
Yeah, when you combine everything together, Clone Wars and Rebels, this is something like, when I saw this image the other day, I was just really happy because it just it adds to the character, the relationship between Ahsoka and Kanan, because they lived very different lives when during the Clone Wars. I mean, look at Ahsoka and everything she's doing. I mean, David's seeing what Ahsoka does in the Clone Wars. So it's hard to say where Kanan was and what he was doing at that time. And sure, maybe they bumped into each other in the hallway at the temple or something.
Yeah, we did get a Kanan Jarrus miniseries, but it did not detail any any interaction with Ahsoka. What I love about this conversation is the fact that it's Ahsoka coming to Kanan and Kanan talking about how he was scared to use his lightsaber for some time after the Jedi Purge, and and how he was reluctant, but then he had to learn how to use it, and a really cool moment there. David, you're still playing catch up right now, but is this something that what's your perspective of this, kind of not knowing what is happening?
So right now I'll say I'll stash this one.
Okay.
I like it. But if I think back to like my 15-year-old, 17-year-old self, right after Revenge of the Sith came out, in my mind, granted this was high school and before I got involved in the EU stuff, Anakin was supposed to be bringing a balance to the Force. And in my mind, at the end of that movie, you had 2 Sith, you had Palpatine and Vader, and you had 2 Jedi, which was Yoda and Obi-Wan. And to me, that was balanced. Maybe not the way that the Jedi wanted it. Now, so my high school self would say blast it because we're introducing other Jedi, and that's not balanced. It's still skewed towards, one side. Now, as I've gotten more into the EU, as I've gotten older, as I've started watching the Clone Wars, and I've started getting a little more comfortable with some of these side stories where Palpatine has other apprentices that he's trying to make sure Vader stays strong, and if not, replaces him. And I see more of these gray Jedi, as we kind of talked about in the last couple episodes. I'd say I'll stash it because I'm starting to grow attached to those characters.
Okay, cool. And then just to double check, you'll stash it or blast it?
Definitely stash it.
Cool. I'm gonna stash it too because I love how Dave is really treating fans with his tweets. I think it's a real good nugget, and you can find that StarWarsNewsNet.com pulled those tweets together, the one tweet together, but you can just follow Dave Filoni on Twitter and you can find it yourself. And he's also like pretty interactive with fans. If you ask like a semi-intelligent question, he'll respond. So that's going to wrap it up for Blast It or Stash It. And now I think it's a segment that Jesse is very excited about. We are going to enter the Cosplay Cantina. And we are doing this because we have some exciting news. We have started at Beyond the Blast Doors our Cosplayer of the Month contest. And so for about the last, I want to say 5 or 6 weeks, we've been having the first round of entries for this. Just because we weren't sure how long we were going to have to keep the first round open until we had people actually submit. But the response was actually really surprising. We had like 25 people submit. Not everybody was a Star Wars cosplayer. Some people were just, other types of cosplayers, and we sent them to other podcasts who might be able to utilize their skills and experiences. But we had a top 5, and we had a conversation. We've narrowed it down. And so, I guess first I just want to talk about, the reason why we're doing this is because the cosplayer community is growing. We have one of its members here on the panel. He wants to share that experience with not just us here on the show, but with you. And it's also just really cool. You go to these cons and you see these people who take the time to create the costumes and create props. It's really exciting. And I think that we've got a very our very first recipient is a really cool cosplayer. Jesse, do you want to say anything before I do this?
Definitely, we saw a lot of great cosplays, for the submissions and everything. Again, some of them weren't Star Wars related, but they were still fantastic, and you have to appreciate their work and what they put into that.
Oh yeah, better than anything I could do.
But you kind of hit the nail on the head there. A lot of hard work goes into these. Even to your first costume, even if it's like terrible, you still put hard work, and you had to figure something out, and it's a step in the right direction in improving your craft.
Well, someone who has proven their craft is I'm going to go ahead and announce her. Rebecca Platzer is our August Beyond the Blast Doors Cosplayer of the Month recipient, and we're going to give her a round of applause right now. Nick, can you give her a round of applause?
Nick. There we go. The Nick's in the background.
I'm really hoping we pick that up. In all seriousness, Rebecca, thank you so much for submitting. Rebecca is a very talented cosplayer. She's actually a member of the 501st. She is a Leia cosplayer, and if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you are watching or you're looking at some of the images of her cosplay. And so first, let's explain what's going to happen next with this. Now that she's won, what does it mean? So every Friday for the month of August, we're going to post on all our social media an image of her cosplay, and we're going to copy her bio there, links to her account so you can follow, and it's really just creating awareness for her, and it's also a sign of our commitment to helping cosplayers get their name out there. And she has a really incredible story. This is a woman that's invested a lot of time and talent into her cosplay. She has the A New Hope Leia. She has the Endor Leia, the Forestman of Endor costume. And this is a person that loves going to like hospitals and working with children. She's just very giving. And I think that's the coolest thing is when you can take like a fandom and then you can somehow make a positive impact on somebody else, where it's not just like, sometimes I think this show is us just like doing this for our own self-gratification, but we're actually, we want to have a conversation with people. Well, Rebecca wants to make a child smile, and she's doing that with her cosplay, and I think that's really cool.
Well, I mean, like I can actually connect with that very much with my own experience at PAX South. I had a very long night of partying. I didn't want to suit up the next day. I was standing in a weapons check line, and a family chased me down. And I didn't know it. Security actually moved to stop them because they were protecting me. But when I got done with it, the security guard that was inspecting my E11, which everybody's seen, he actually thanked me because he's like, this job doesn't pay well, but it gets my kids into this event for free, and they love seeing the costumes. So, yeah, it makes people's day, and that's what's important.
And that's what I'm excited to show people is because Rebecca has like several images where she's like with kids that have, I'm assuming they run up and they're like, oh, can I have your picture? So I'm excited to showcase the fact that, Rebecca is a real person. She's a real cosplayer, and she has made a real difference. David, you're not a big cosplayer, but you appreciate those who are creative. What do you think of Rebecca's stuff?
I thought it was awesome, but I thought they were all awesome.
Yeah.
So, if I'm going to cosplay, my options are like Porkins or the guy that cries when the Rancor dies. So anything above that is just stellar to me, and I'm glad that my vote counted towards her because it was stellar.
She did really well. And
beautiful woman.
What's going to happen next with our show and her being the cosplayer of the month is not only we're going to post her photos on our social media platforms, but we're also going to have her on the show. So so we're going to give her a jingle, and we're going to set up a time to where we can do an interview. We're expecting the third week of August is when we're going to have her on the show. So we got to verify that. But Rebecca, thank you again for submitting your entry for the Cosplayer of the Month contest. It's nice to know that people are hearing us, and you're going to be part of the experience with us. And so if you know someone who is a cosplayer who hasn't submitted their entry yet, have them do that. Email us at beyondtheblastdoors@gmail.com. Send us a bio of who you are, why you cosplay, and at least your 4 best picks of Star Wars cosplay. And then we'll sit down like we did last week, and we will select our cosplayer of the month for that following
I would
week.
like to add just a few things that kind of helps us judge these pictures better. If you guys could get some relatively close-up pictures so we could actually see the kits closer, that would be great. Because we like seeing I like seeing the detail that you put in your work. And
I think that's totally fair. We had some distance shots.
Distance shots are cool because they set a theme and a vibe. But make sure you also give us at least one good close up of you in your costume and everything. So I
think that's sound advice. Rebecca, thank you again for submitting. I'm really excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for your hard work too in the cosplay community.
It's going to be awesome, guys. Now we're going to go into my favorite segment of this show, the Fan Comlink. We're going to tap the Fan Comlink, and we had such a great response on social media. Yeah, I cannot believe. Yeah, it was a good time. So we had like somewhere around a dozen questions, which is a lot for us because we're just starting out. So we picked our favorite ones, and we're going to start off with Star Raptor is a guy that supports us on Twitter and also on YouTube. He has a channel of his own if you want to ever check that out. He does everything, every movie that has come out in the theater. He does reviews on. I don't know how I don't think the guy sleeps. Guy is busy, but he asks us, what miniseries do you want to see Marvel tackle next? And so we're talking about comic book miniseries. And David, let's start with you. Is there anyone out there that you would like to see have their own miniseries, or is there an era that should get it?
I mean, I'm kind of into the Clone Wars now because it's starting to pick up for me. So I'd like to see something back in that time set because I'm not aware of many, if any, comics are of that era. And maybe something Old Republic-ish, too. It seems, you guys keep talking about Filoni trying to bring that stuff back into the show through Rebels. So maybe seeing something like that.
Yeah, I think that's nice. An awesome. I don't think you can go wrong with anything from the Old Republic. I just remember season 5 of Clone Wars. This is something that you should know about because it's really fantastic. They brought the Commandos into it. Holy crap, that was so awesome. That was a great payoff for fans who were part of that game. Do you have a miniseries that you'd like to see soon?
I'm kind of with David on this. An Old Republic series would be great. There's so much great story in that time frame that it would be great to see it actually brought into the fold, into canon.
I would have thought the first thing you'd say would be Mandalorian Jango Boba Fett.
I'm getting to that.
He just word vomits Mandalorian.
I'd actually like to see something related to Jango Fett, maybe slightly prior to Clone Wars. Maybe something kind of like bounty hunter themed, maybe.
If you were trying to throw this out as a standalone movie, I'd say get out of town.
No,
but
like maybe
being
like
a miniseries for comics,
a miniseries for a comic, you
perfect.
know. I mean, even some of those other characters, or Singh, Cad Bane.
Tell me the story of how Kamino tracks down Jango to be the sample.
I mean, they kind of did with the bounty hunt Star Wars bounty hunter game years ago.
But that's not canon anymore.
But it's not canon anymore. Yep. So I kind of feel like some of the, it's kind of a good point. I mean, so some of that just got kind of tossed out. Let's get some fresh material in there that actually maybe brings a little bit more lore back into that time frame, aside just from the Clone Wars cartoon and everything. So.
Yeah, I'm totally down with that. I think those are the 2 or 3 suggestions that you guys made were awesome. If I'm thinking of a miniseries that I'd want to see, I want to see some more Anakin, probably like Revenge of the Sith era. Let's go back and revisit. Something that I liked from that micro series from 2002-2003 was they explained how Anakin got the scar on his eye. Give me a mini-series where he's on some crazy missions. Let me see him in charge of, a legion of clone troopers, and let's see him, battle his way through. He gets the scar, yada yada. That's just maybe that's like a lazy idea, but I think that would be kind of cool. Let's go on to the next question. Kevin at The Last Sith. Would you rather them pivot from a Han Solo standalone movie into a Lando movie with Han as a side character, or do you just keep it about Han? Jesse, I think you'll be a man of few words with this, so I'll let you go first.
Keep it about Han. Maybe that's just wrong of me, but I was just never a fan of Lando as a whole, even as a kid, so I just don't... Unless they do something great for him in some sort, like a novel or something, I just to keep it about Han.
David?
I don't need this movie in any form or fashion, so... I don't think Lando's an interesting character.
Okay.
I echo that on Jesse.
Okay.
I don't. He's a side character, and if he's going to be in this movie, he needs to stay at the side.
I think what I liked about Lando rather is the fact that I didn't know a whole lot. And when you had that initial conversation with him and Han on the platform, there's just so much history, and I would rather not know that history and just kind of speculate about it, because that's more fun as a fan to do. And here's the reality of it. They're not going to do this either way. Like, no matter what we suggest with this question, it's a Han Solo movie, because Ron Howard right now is taking shots of Lando in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon with the hyperspace screen that we talked about earlier in the show. Like, it's already happening. I don't think Lando is a character that could handle his own movie. He could handle his miniseries, because we got a Lando miniseries that is maybe the best miniseries we've gotten from the storytelling group since the Disney buyout, since we started getting Marvel Comics. So that's what I'm thinking about there. Now, Tabitha Dorian has a great question here. Her handle is UGG. It's Tabitha. She asks, do you think Reylo is likely to happen? And I'm going to bust you on this one, because it was funny. We're talking before the show, and Jesse's like, what the hell is Reylo? Like, what does that mean? Like, they're brother and sister? And it's like, no, dude, they're banging. Do we think that there may be a couple? And Jesse, when you heard that, you're like, oh, absolutely not. You don't think that Kylo Ren and Rey were going to team up?
Like, when she told me what theory it was, I knew what, like, oh, okay. I was just like, okay.
The birds and the bees.
I was taking that, like, what is this, like a brother, like lost sister kind of thing, separated kind of deal.
Right, but this is suggesting that it's going to be like a couple. So do you think that's going to happen?
So suggesting, I don't think it's plausible because of the events of Force Awakens, because there is a friendship and a bond that's developed very quickly between Rey and Han. There's a respect between the two characters. Okay. And I mean, you get Rey screaming no, when Kylo ignites the saber into Han's chest. So I just no, it's not going to happen. Who in their right mind? I know this probably happens in the real world, but for me, I don't see Rey being this honest, individual falling in love with the guy who just killed his father.
Tabitha, I really appreciate you asking this question, and Jesse appreciates you asking this question.
It's a great question, but realistically, I just don't think it's a plausible story arc.
David, what about you?
I would love to see Rey follow in Luke's footsteps of being a Jedi, which typically means like a vow of celibacy, which means she would not need that.
Well, that couldn't have been any more awkward. Okay, well, I'm going to be with them. I'm going to say not going to happen, just because I feel like that would foil, it just would make no sense. But you know what? Maybe Rey and Poe? I don't know. Rey and Chewie? I don't know. That could get weird.
Rey and Finn would be good.
Who?
Rey and Finn.
Yeah, but I really think that Rose is going to be...
It's possible, but I mean, like I wouldn't mind seeing Rey and Finn.
I think this is what I thought like 5 months ago. Rey's asexual. There's going to be nothing there. She's going to be the heroine who doesn't need anybody. She's not going to be dependent on anybody. She's just going to kick ass and save the day, and that's fine. Totally fine with that. And then I thought Finn was going to be our bi-curious friend, and then I thought Poe was just going to be pulsating for Finn, and I was fine with that. And I was going to be fine with that. But I don't think that's going to be. I don't think that's going to be the case. And
I think we need a little legend on this one that says no children.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely not a family show this week. It's been a tough week for all of us. Next question comes from Emperor Palpatine at Sheev Palpy. What do you think happened to Barriss Offee after the Clone Wars when she was arrested, and do you think she will return? Hashtag Star Wars. David Gilbert wants to go first.
I think he has a question.
I know who Barriss is.
Okay.
I watched a couple episodes with her in it. I know who she is.
Yeah?
See, I'm catching up on stuff. You don't believe me.
I'm happy for you. What do you think happens to her?
I don't care. Okay, so the couple episodes that I've seen so far with Barriss are the ones where she and Ahsoka go into the droid factory and they try to blow it up from the inside.
Right.
And she's like ready to sacrifice herself, and Ahsoka says like, no, that's bullshit, we can do this. And basically the entire time she lets Ahsoka down, is kind of a Debbie Downer, but very good-hearted. So I'd kind of hope that after she leaves that, and maybe she pops up again, I don't know, maybe she becomes a little bit more of a competent Jedi.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe she does.
Apparently not. So I didn't know she was arrested, which something I...
Should I just say earmuffs, David?
Probably.
Because...
But I know who Barriss is, damn it, and that's important.
That is important. Jesse,
I can contribute to the show.
Jesse, what do you think happened to Barriss Offee after we last saw her?
Spoilers for David.
I bet she died in Order 66.
Well, that would actually be... That's a safe call. Okay.
That's actually a pretty good guess. But from what we know of Rebels, we have the Inquisitors. Who's to say that she didn't become an Inquisitor herself?
Whoa.
Now, what's an Inquisitor?
Spoilers again.
Noted.
Dark side users that are introduced in Star Wars Rebels.
They help Vader hunt down and kill the Jedi.
So that's kind of my theory. Potentially,
That's cool.
Is either she...
If she's like a sister?
Potentially, she could... Well, that's three options.
Okay.
A, still in prison.
Okay.
B, killed in Order 66. C, became a Sith Inquisitor. So maybe we just won't see her again. But, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin, like what happens, in Clone Wars for David here.
Well, I'm not going to stop that from telling you what I think. And I think Barriss Offee dies in her cell. All right, so her next fan question is, I really don't. I don't have an idea. I really like your three options, and I would be happy with any of those three.
Yeah, I think those are
I like the idea
possible.
of her being an Inquisitor. That would be cool. Next question, because we're going to keep on going, because why not? It's episode number 10, and we had a lot of fan questions, so we're going to keep answering those questions. John Burns, the real Jay Burns, who's a super cool guy. We mentioned him earlier in the show. He's the guy that did the concept art of Kylo Ren's shuttle for The Last Jedi. When that first leak came out, he was the one that did the concept art that went viral, and he's a super cool guy, friend of the show. And he asks us, do you think Kylo will begin a path of redemption in The Last Jedi, or stay bad throughout the trilogy? We went Jesse for last time, so David, what do you think?
I would like him to stay as a bad guy.
Agreed.
In Force Awakens, he made the choice to kill his dad, and walk down the path of the dark side. And I think that's the way that he needs to continue going. We don't need any stories about how love saves the day or we're going to redeem another person. I don't think we need it.
We've already seen Anakin Skywalker go from good to bad, back to good. Like, we've gotten that story. Mm-hmm. Let's make a baddie stay bad, right?
And it's okay to have a trilogy that's going to be a little darker, because let's be honest, the prequel trilogy is very kid friendly,
very bright, yeah.
And then the next trilogy, or the originals, ones we love, they're a little bit darker, and so I'm okay if this one's a little bit darker. So as you grow up through the Star Wars movies, things kind of get a little more heavy. So I'd like him to stay a bad guy.
All right, I'll go with that. Jesse?
I'm kind of on the same page. I want him to stay, down the dark path here and everything. Simply because I don't want to see a repeat of previous story arcs and everything. Lots of noises on the cast today.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't want to see that again. If he does redeem himself, it's got to be really meaningful, not like on a Vader scale, but something maybe like really dramatic and powerful. But
I'm gonna go with you too. I don't. It's kind of like what we said earlier about something else. It just wouldn't make sense. I want to see Kylo stay bad the entire time. I think it's being set up for a Rey and Kylo duel at the very end. I would not be surprised if Kylo maybe takes the life of Luke. Or, does Luke have to sacrifice himself like Obi-Wan had to? I'm not sure. But I want Kylo to stay bad. I want him to get more bad. I want him to get more evil. I want him to become more intimidating. There's an image that dropped on the internet this weekend where we finally saw Kylo like in this like pose, and he has a cape. I think it came from San Diego Comic-Con. And he looks a little bit more daunting, a little bit more intimidating with that cape on. I want to see the dark side continue to grow in him, because I want a legitimate villain for this new trilogy. Because Snoke is not my villain. Snoke to me is like Thanos. Like, we hear a lot about him, but it sounds like we're not going to get any of them until the ninth film.
One thing I'd like to see, maybe in episode 10, I want to see dark side corruption appearing on Kylo. I don't want him to be that pretty boy anymore. I want the red eyes. I want him to really.
We got to be close to that because he's got his face sliced up.
Yeah, so that's what I want to see.
All right, well, and you know what? If we don't get that in The Last Jedi, you hope to hell you get it in episode 9.
Yeah.
And then you have the next logical question, and maybe that's for later cast, is does Kylo survive 9? Do we see him in 10, 11, 12 when they get to that trilogy?
10, 11, 12.
There's going to be a 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Our last fan question, the Fan Comlink, guys. This has been so much fun. Wishing Nick could be a part of it, but he's out there, I guess, chasing a tornado right now. Our last fan question on the Fan Comlink is from Brandon at The Insane Soul. Big fan of the show. Is Rey a Skywalker or Kenobi or something else entirely? This is just such a heavy question to end this segment with. I'll go first. I think she's a Kenobi. I want to believe that Rey is somehow the offspring of Obi-Wan and Satine. Like, there was a child that we don't know about.
I know who Satine is, too.
You do? Oh, yeah, the Queen of Mandalore.
I watched that one today.
Unless the only other option, I mean, if she is a Skywalker, to me, it's like, did they make Mara Jade canon? Did Luke and Mara have a child? And is that Rey? Like, that's, to me, like, those are the two things, the two options that make the most sense. Did he go off to Octu because maybe his temple got destroyed and they killed his wife, and she, he hid his child so that way the Skywalker blood continue on. Maybe there would be a new hope again. That's just what I think. I could be totally wrong. We're speculating. That's the game. David, what do you think?
I believe she's a Kenobi.
Okay.
And what sells me on it is the British accent, because the Star Wars films have always been filled with a lot of British people. Mm-hmm. And Alec Guinness was the only one who was told he could keep his British accent. And then in the prequel trilogy, Ewan McGregor has to have that accent. So even though we're still seeing more and more Brits come into the acting fold for Star Wars, she's the only one who is able to keep her British accent.
Right, because if it's not her, then the only other British accents in that movie are the First Order or the Empire. All right, Jesse, what's your call?
Neither.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Obviously.
Be a little bit more excited for your idea.
So here's the thing.
Please don't say reincarnation.
She can't be a Kenobi.
Okay.
Mainly because the timeline doesn't fit.
All right.
Okay, it's 30 years after The Force Awakens. Okay, Kenobi's been dead.
Could be the grandchild.
Since, A New Hope. Also consider this. Satine dies. Sorry, spoilers, David, but Satine dies in the Clone Wars. Okay, so again, you're running into a timeline issue where there's a good 18 years between her death, if not more, 20 years from her death to the beginning of A New Hope. So it's definitely not a Satine and Kenobi.
I'm so sorry, David.
Child. I'm sorry.
It's not funny,
but I mean, this is a serious question.
It's been longer than a week, so it's my fault for not being caught up.
So then, who is Rey?
I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of wondering. And since we've kind of been seeing a pattern, we saw a pattern with The Force Awakens, kind of rehashing some events. What if she's also a Solo? She knows the Falcon. Okay, I'm kind of still in that party. But keep in mind, Leia and Luke were separated at birth.
Yeah, so wait, are you suggesting that she would be Han and Leia's, or maybe is she Han and somebody else's?
Because no, I'm suggesting Han and Leia's.
Well, because there's that look that Han gives her in the cockpit, right? When they're coming into Takodana.
I feel like in somewhere, I mean, she's obviously Force sensitive. We know that the Force is strong in the Skywalker family. I guess she would be a Skywalker in that sense. But I'm kind of thinking they're twins. They were separated at birth for whatever reason. Okay, it's a little deep, I know.
Well, it's not deep; it's rehashed. It's the same bullshit we got in the original trilogy.
Yeah, or like they've been saying about Snoke, she's a brand new character. We know that there are other Jedi out there, other Force sensitive,
right?
And we know. I mean, look how powerful Mace was. Look how powerful Yoda was. So it's not out of norm for somebody with this Force aptitude.
Yeah,
and everything to exist.
So are you saying she's Yoda's kid? Because she doesn't look small and green.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just in terms of her Force capabilities and everything.
Okay.
As long as it's not reincarnation, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm not saying reincarnation. I'm either it's twins separated at birth, or she is her own character. So that's my thought on Rey.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of like with Snoke. Snoke is either his own thing, or it's probably Plagueis. So.
Hey, at the end of the day, we just had a kick-ass Fan Comlink. How fun was that?
I like it.
We just had like 15
crap ton of a
minutes.
There,
a fan questions.
Can we do this segment more like
as long
this?
As we get the questions, keep the questions
Please
coming, guys.
Comment below.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, I missed my cue there. You gave me the cue. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you ask us questions on Twitter, that's at BTBD_podcast. Tweet us any Star Wars question you have. I mean, it could be anything. Like, if you're completely confused about something or there's something specific you want to ask us, drop us a question, and then we'll bring it on here because, wow, this segment's a lot more fun when you have like 6 questions compared to just 1. And there's some questions that we weren't able to get to. So if we didn't get your question this week, there's a good chance that we'll get to you next week. So that's going to do it for the Fan Comlink. Staying on target is our next segment. It is the last segment of the show. We are going long. We're going to keep this one tight. We are going to stay on target. Jesse, what has your targeting systems locked for the week ahead?
Staying cool. It's been super hot here temperature-wise. It's kind of frustrating because I want to do cosplay work. That work entails being outside, and it's just too hot. So I'm praying for cooler temperatures so I can work on stuff.
It's going to be like 98 degrees for the next 7 days.
And Nick told me the winter wasn't coming, so I'm a little heartbroken.
Winter is a good 5 months away. I'm really sorry.
So let me have a happy place.
There's an AC vent right over there. We'll get you taken care of in about 2.5 minutes. David?
Tomorrow I'm going to knock out the 2nd season of Clone Wars, halfway through it. So I got distracted, so I keep getting distracted. Last week it was Sherlock, popped up on Netflix, so this week I don't think there's anything up there, so we'll hammer that one out. I still have like a bag full of plumbing equipment that we were gonna make some lightsaber cosplay out of, so that's still on my radar.
It's
but,
got to cool off.
Yeah, unfortunately,
It's too hot outside. I'm not going to go out there.
Those waiting for part 2 of the lightsaber construction, honestly, it's just been too hot.
We'll get there
some
when
of
we
our
get there.
schedules have been a little bit chaotic.
They're not going anywhere. We'll have those kits.
It will happen. We are still working on it,
Hell
so
yeah, it
stay
is.
tuned for that.
Staying on target. So to help you out, my staying on target is this box set that I got. If you're watching, you can see me holding up the complete seasons 1 through 5 of the Clone Wars on Blu-ray. David, you and I
So
are going to
shiny.
indulge. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. The other thing too that I'm looking forward to is the next couple of issues of Darth Vader, that Charles Soule series. Number 5 has some really great variant covers, and there's one that I'm really excited about. And if you're following this series and you like to collect covers, number 5, it's I think the B or C cover. You got to find this. It's a close-up of Vader's helmet, but the one eye socket is shattered, and you get some really great detail of like the eye and the glass shards. It looks really cool. So I don't know if that's like a continuation of the battle that we're having with that Jedi Master, but either way, it looks pretty cool. But yeah, that's my Sting on Target, and that's all your Sting on Targets, and that's the end of the show because that's how our show is structured. So thank you so much for joining us for episode 10. I still can't believe that episode 10 it's here and gone, and it was so great. And I just realized that I was going to bring something else up for my Sting on Target. So rewind and check out on YouTube. James Arnold Taylor is the guy who does the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars that David is watching right now. And he does this thing called Clone Wars Conversations. And he just actually did an episode with Andrew Kishino, who is the guy who does the voice of Saw Gerrera. It's like 45 minutes long. It's really great if you're doing a drive or if you're laying out by the pool. But it's some really insightful stuff of how he created the voice for Saw Gerrera and like what his mentality was when in the booth, because his work is what was the blueprint for the Saw that we ended up getting in Rogue One. And there is a huge change from that character that we meet in Star Wars Clone Wars to the one that we see die in Rogue One. Yeah. I don't want to... We could have gone the whole episode without bringing up Porg Gullet. Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time. I was dressed for the occasion, apparently, and now I think we're going to go and get hearty. So I do want to thank all you guys. Well, it's the two of you.
Thanks, Nick.
Nick is like chasing a tornado right now in Northeast Missouri. If you liked this episode, and I'm hoping you did, give us a thumbs up down below, and also subscribe to the channel. That's really important because if you subscribe, you'll be the first to know when we have new videos drop. And then please share your favorite videos or your favorite episode of ours with friends. We want to really grow the community that we're in. Think about how fun the Fan Comlink was. You know, we went from one question in that segment. We spent 20 minutes in there because we had 6 questions. And we want more questions. We want to have to wait on questions because we got so many. If you're done listening to this episode, be sure you check out our friends over there at 3Ys, Media 3Ys Radio. Joe, Sam, and Garrett talk about all things media related. And, of course, Movie Versus, where they just pair up movies, and they're really entertaining. And Tyler Lamb is a beautiful man. All right, cool. So we got that out of the way. Anything else on my list? We've already talked about submitting your entries for Cosplayer of the Month for that's going to be September because we've selected August. Rebecca, we're going to be hitting you up soon. And we're just done. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We love you. May the Force be with you. Oh my God, I have like pitted out this shirt like 3 times in like the last 40 minutes.
We can tell.
Can you really?
We can smell it. You don't antiperspirant.
Fuck you! I'm wearing deodorant.
No, antiperspirant.
You can't smell that. Kiss my ass. Jesse, go walk away like Nick did. Freaking half hour into the show. What am I supposed to do with that? He's like, I gotta go. I'm like, all right. And then like, I guess it's like in the middle of Fan Comlink, and he just left. Like he leaves no.
Doesn't even tell us to take cover.
There's no note. I have no text from him. It's like,
You should text him. Are we gonna die?
what am I supposed to do?
So reading his thing, it looked like there were like 60-mile-an-hour winds and hail in Northeast Missouri.
Possibly.
So
We're not going there.
I'm not going there.
No, we're going to Hardee's.
Hardee's or Taco Bell? Oh, what time does Taco Bell close though? Because Taco Bell's not 24 hours.
Oh, well, we're going to have to stop recording then.